What's up? This is David, and today I want to talk to you about how to sell high-ticket coaching without sales calls and using Google Docs. Yes, simple little Google Docs. So I'm going to talk about how to sell high-ticket coaching without sales calls using Google Docs. And there are 5 things I want to talk about today. So number 1 is sales calls is old news, and I believe it's an old paradigm. And the new way is what I just like to call the Google Doc paradigm, right? The offer doc paradigm. Number 2, how digital leverage is one of the best ways to sell things. Okay, we're actually getting leverage and using the power of the internet, and how marketing is leveraged selling. Okay, and number 4, the question that people might be asking is like, should everyone ditch the sales calls? Right, because it's an outdated old paradigm, as you say. Should everyone ditch it? And I will be addressing that answer. And what actually goes inside a Google Doc offer to make it convert, right? So if you actually want a free Google Doc template, I provide a free one. You can comment with the word sell without calls down below, and I'll send you the link to it's a free school community, but it also encompasses the Google Doc template in there as well. So comment with the word sell without calls, and do it right now before you forget, and I'll send you the link to the free school community, which contains the Google Doc. All right, so I believe there's an easier way to sell coaching or coaching businesses online, okay? So the old way was this. The old way was we sold with labor, right? We sold with like a bunch of like salespeople, and like we had to do like this one-on-one Zoom call thing, and that's pretty much labor. So it offered no leverage, right? But the new way is actually using leverage. Okay, just one to many. That's just pretty much what the definition of leverage is, especially online. It's just one to many. Okay, and input-output ratio in the past when we did the Zoom calls was 1-to-1. Right, in order to get more output, we had to hire more, right? If we hire 3, it's still 3-to-3, right? So it offered no leverage, but now it's 1-to-many, right? 1-to-many, and as many people have access to the internet, right? Energy, it took a lot of energy, and it took a lot of human power in the past to sell our stuff. But now we use digital engines, man. We use the power of the internet, and we use the power of digital servers all around the world to do the work for us. And how do we close in the past? So we closed on a Zoom call, right? We closed on a Zoom call, and now what we do is we close with simple Google Doc offers. And there's a proper way to do this, and I'll explain just in a bit, okay? And let's take a look at prospect empathy. Okay, prospect empathy. Like when you offer a book to call to a prospect, like a future client, like it sucks. Like you're like trapping them. First and foremost, like many people know that it's a sales call now disguised as a strategy session or whatever. And secondly, it's like you're trapping them into like making a freaking sales decision right then and there when you called it a strategy session, right? If you're gonna try to close someone, at least freaking tell them it's a sales call, right? So it like sucked for the prospect. And like think about it from your own perspective. It's like, do you like going on other people's calls, sales calls, to be pitched? Like I don't, you know what I mean? But then we're making our prospects do that. So we have to get prospect empathy here, right? But now the new way, I believe it's feel-good marketing, as I like to say. Like feel good, we're making them feel good. And that way that builds trust, that way it builds belief. And then we're just inviting them, dude. We're just inviting them instead of like, trying to sell them. Frame it as like an invitation. So just kind of like pretend like you're going to like a dinner, and then like you're inviting somebody to dinner. Like, hey, you want to come to our dinner with us? You know what I mean? Just see it as an invite. Okay, see it as an invite. And think about the entire sales process, right? So the old way, how we used to do it, was we called it a pipeline, right? We called it a pipeline, and then that kind of pipeline means that there's a pipe, right? So what I like to see it is like I like to see it as a leaky pipe. Okay, and I'll kind of show you. So this is like the entire kind of like a picture of a pipe here, okay? And then what we used to do was we used to get traffic, right? And the thing is like we have like holes in the pipe. It like leaks because not everybody's gonna book a call, right? And it like leaks. We're like leaking water here, leaking traffic here. Not everybody's gonna show up, and then like there's like leaks everywhere, right? And so let me give you like examples, like with numbers. So let's pretend like 100 people, like they see your landing page or whatever, and then you have them like book a call, and then maybe like 30 people will book a call, right? So you had like freaking 70 people fall out just right there. And then for showing up, maybe like 50% will show up. So you have like 15 people, okay? And then let's say like you were really good at closing, but then you only got, like 7 people to actually to buy your thing, right? So it's a leaky bucket. You're like losing people along this journey here of a pipe, okay? And the thing is this, right? The solution isn't to optimize the leaky stuff, okay? So what I mean by that is like we're trying to put band-aids on like these, trying to not make it leak, right? But that's not the solution, okay? That's not the best solution. We're trying to like bandage up these like leaks, right? And what we do, the solution is actually removal. It's actually removal. We're thinking like engineers, we're thinking from first principles. And the first part is to remove, okay? So in engineering, there's a saying, the best part is no part, right? The best part is no part. The best sales process is no sales process, because like the marketing and everything else is just so good. You have like a bunch of like persuasion that it just sells itself. Okay, you don't need the whole freaking like sales team process, the whole like freaking like pipe that I showed you, right? So that's the real way to optimize, right? Instead of like optimizing for this, how about we do this? How about, and like those people, like they come into your DMs and they're like, hey, I will help you book more calls, or hey, I will help you increase your show up rates, right? Well, that's a means to an end. These are all means to ends, okay? Because the solution, the best solution might be to just get rid of this entire sales process in the first place. That way you don't have to deal with all these freaking problems. Like a bunch of problems just disappears. So what do we have instead, right? Instead of that, we can just have like good marketing and then just close them with a Google Doc, okay? So we don't have that entire like middle section. You know what I mean? We got rid of it. Okay, we don't need it anymore. We got rid of it, okay? So there's this conversion rate myth where like, hey, won't salespeople, like, won't they convert better than a Google Doc? And the obvious answer is yes, of course, that salespeople would convert better than a Google Doc, right? But the thing is, it's a conversion rate is a means to an end. We don't want the highest conversion rates in the world. I mean, it's better if we can work on our conversion rate, but at the end of the day, we want sales, right? We want sales. So it's like a means to an end. So I'll give you an example, right? So let's pretend, let's go with the numbers that we had up here. Okay, so let's just say this. So the conversion rate that people are talking about when we're doing a sales call is this part right here, right? So you closed 7 out of 15 people. 7 out of 15 people, right? That's like close to like, 50% close rate, right? But no, that's not what the number, if we're comparing apples and apples, and if we compare like, the whole like Google Doc stuff compared to like the sales call stuff, like if we're comparing apples and apples, we got to compare it to this number, right? Because that's more of a proper, like, I guess like test, right? More of a proper way to see it. So if we did 7 out of here, that's only 7% conversion rate, right? But people are counting this part and not necessarily the other part. So with like a Google Doc, let's pretend you like close 10% of the traffic, right? But you still get 10 sales versus the other way when you only got 7, right? So if we're comparing apples and apples, we got to compare to I guess like the top level funnel, top of funnel, right? So that's why I believe it's a myth, right? Yes, a salesperson will convert better, but the number that they're talking about is the people that actually show up on the call, and not the top outermost number. Okay. So I want you to think of marketing like a book. So think about it like a book. So when you read somebody's book, and assuming it's a good book. So let's pretend you're at like a bookstore and you pick up a book and it's an unknown author to you. Yeah, you don't know the author, But then you read the book and it's like, oh, this is freaking amazing, right? It's like really good content. And so you sit down at like your Barnes and Nobles or whatever, and then you absorb the book for like the next hour, and it's like, oh my God, this is freaking so amazing, that you buy the book, and then you go home later and then you read the entire freaking thing, right? What happens when you read the entire book like that? Don't you create so much goddamn trust, right? You just created so much trust with the author, and especially if they go into like their story, their backstory. It seems like you know the guy as like, you know their family, you know what happened to him, you know his history. It's like your friends pretty much at that point, right? And then if that person, because it seems like you know the person, and assuming again it's like a good book with good content, if that person made an offer, like most people would consider it. They'll be like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, let me consider that offer, right? Because they have built up so much goddamn trust. So we have to see marketing like that. We're building up trust and we're building up belief, and over time, it's just a matter of making an offer, to be honest. So that book example that I gave, it's like an example of leverage, by the way, right? You write the book once, and then you can distribute it to many people, like one to many, leverage, right? Instead of the freaking sales calls, like the one to one. So it becomes one to many, right? So now let's talk about digital leverage. Okay, digital leverage. And let's talk about labor versus leverage. So labor is one of the oldest forms of leverage, right? We hire a bunch of humans to do the work, right? That's one of the oldest forms of leverage, especially in terms of like physicality, right? So it's just one to one. It offers no leverage, actually. So it's because it's just one to one. And then we're not accounting into the fact like different skill levels. So let's pretend like all the skills are the same for every human. Then it becomes one to one, right? So if you have like a lever here, it offers no leverage because it's like one to one, okay? And then lever and fulcrum, as you probably should know. And so in order to get more energy, get more output, we needed to hire more humans. But think about like the Industrial Revolution, okay? Like, because now we have like equipment and machines doing the work for us, right? We have like equipment and machines that replaces a bunch of human labor, okay? It replaces a bunch of human labor. So what used to take maybe like 100 people or more, we can just replace it with a few machines. We got leverage now. Okay, we got leverage, and that's in form of like physical stuff, okay? But now we live in the digital world, right? We live in the digital world, and now we have digital leverage, and this is like the newest form of leverage that we have. And in my opinion, it may be humankind's biggest lever that we have ever created. Pretty much, we can reach the entire freaking world as long as they have an internet connection, right? And we have so much leverage now because of the internet. So we have one-to-many leverage, and in my opinion, it is even greater than the Industrial Revolution, because it's like Industrial Revolution, yeah, you can replace a lot of people with a couple of machines, a couple of equipment, a couple of vehicles. But now we have an even longer lever, because like digital computers and servers, all right, that's a computer, by the way. We can replace, many people, and this can go to, like, this can reach millions, right? We can reach millions of people from, just creating a thing once, like creating content or whatever it is, just one time, right? So we have massive leverage. I believe the biggest and most leverage we ever had in human history. So, number 3, let's talk about marketing and how marketing is leverage, okay? So I'm gonna give you like big examples here, big company examples, because everybody knows them, but then I'll also give you like, there's tons of like no-name people that are doing this as well. Like the example of the book I gave you, even if you don't know the author, once you read it and then you get like good stuff from it, you get good content from it, it's like, oh, dude, you know the person, and you build up so much trust, right? With a lever, because it's one to many. So I'll give you an example of Tesla though. So Tesla, like, they don't have any salespeople. Like, Tesla doesn't have any salespeople because they're using marketing, right? They just open up the cart. Like anybody can go online and buy a freaking $100,000 car on your phone, like right now if you wanted to, right? And because they are getting the marketing do the work for them, right? And Elon Musk was smart enough, as because Elon Musk is a freaking engineer, right? He was smart enough to know that salespeople is a big bottleneck. Imagine like Tesla had like salespeople and like you had to call to like make an order. It would be a huge bottleneck for the freaking business. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, we're doing the same equivalent to our business when we don't even need it. Okay, as long as we have good marketing. Again, you don't have to be a big ass company to have good marketing, just have good content. So Tesla doesn't have salespeople. And even Apple, right? They don't have salespeople. Right? You go into an Apple store, they're not salespeople, they're just like workers that help people out. And then you can order, sometimes they even tell you, hey, order this stuff online, right? Because they're not salespeople. They just open up the cart. Anybody can go online and order like a $15,000 Mac, computer, right? They have an open cart because they're letting the marketing do the selling for them, right? And what I believe is like sales is I'm probably going to cover this later, but sales, it's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone skill because even Elon Musk, he knows how important marketing is. That's why he goes on like interviews and podcasts and like PR stuff like that, because that's marketing. It's just a different form of marketing, but that's marketing. You don't see Elon Musk going on a sales call. You know what I mean? You don't see the next CEO of Apple going on a sales call. They do like interviews because that gets them leverage, right? That's marketing. So again, like you don't need like a big following, right? This is a freaking limiting belief. I know so many people who do not have big followings at all they're just crushing it. But the inverse, I know many people who have maybe like millions of followers who don't make much money at all, right? So the following count is irrelevant, okay? So following count is irrelevant because, again, good content is good content regardless of your audience size. Good content is good content. Following size is irrelevant. Like I gave you the example of the book, right? So I'll prove it to you right now, actually. Think about this. Like, do you buy something just because of somebody's following size? Like, is that how you buy things? If you are, then maybe you have like herd mentality, dude. Like, we have a bigger issue here. But you don't just buy something just because of somebody's following, right? You gotta at least like desire the product, right? So like, I never bought anything from Mr. Beast. Like, I haven't even tried his chocolates or his burgers or anything, right? So just because you have a big following doesn't mean like you're not gonna buy something just because of somebody's big following, right? And I never bought anything from like iShowSpeed or any of these other like, creators and streamers. But the counterexample is I have bought plenty of things from many like unknown people, from many people who have like smaller followings, or many people who don't even have a social media at all. It's like they provide like good content within their emails, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is freaking good. This is freaking good. Just like that book example, right? This is freaking good. And then they have an offer, and I'm like, okay, let me buy it, right? So I have bought plenty of things like that. Okay, plenty of things like that. So we buy through trust. We buy because of belief. And sometimes we just vibe with somebody, right? We just like vibe with their content or their philosophy. And again, like we buy when they have good content and we just resonate with that, right? That's how we buy, regardless of the audience size. So again, good content is freaking good content, no matter however way you put it. So I'll show it to you like this, right? So if we have a line here, and this is sales, and let's call this marketing, right? What we used to do in the past is if we relied on the sales call so much, it kind of was like this, right? Especially if you had zero marketing, you were heavy on the sales, right? And you had to like create trust and belief within like a short 45-minute period, right? And the thing is about sales calls, once you stop doing them, it becomes like a single point of failure. Like there goes your profit for your business if you stop doing the sales call, right? But the new way is we want to embrace marketing and good marketing, because again, not only does it bring us leverage, but it does the selling for us, right? If we have good marketing, like all we have to do is pretty much like send them a Google Doc offer at the end, because the bulk of the selling is done via good marketing, right? And of course, like the stronger your marketing, the less sales we have to do, because marketing is doing the bulk of the trust building, the belief building for us in scale, right? So my old business, my past business was exactly like this, right? Because I had zero marketing. I had to rely on the sales calls, and I had to do like sales calls again and again and again, and that was my whole freaking business, right? And I was like so burnt out by doing the sales calls and all that stuff. And then if you hire out a sales team, you gotta like give up commission and all that, and you have to like hire like a sales team now. It becomes a big old mess when we could have just leveraged marketing instead, right? We could have just leveraged marketing instead. So here's the thing: consumption equals conversion. Okay, consumption equals conversion. I'm going back to, I sound like a freaking parrot, but I'm going back to the book example again, right? When we have people consume our content, we naturally, as a byproduct, raise our conversions. Okay, raise our conversions, because the more you consume, the more trust is built. Okay, the more trust is built over time. Okay, again, like good content equals good content, right? And then when people just see the content again and again, like trust is building. And then again, at the end, you can just send them an offer, right? And in this case, a Google Doc offer. And honestly, at the end, it's kind of like, it's just a formality at that point. It's like, this person is ready to buy. It's like, hey, do you have a, do you have a program or something that I could buy? You know what I mean? So that's what happens when you get people to consume and you provide them good content. And Sharon actually found this out. Sharon, he was like a coach, and then he's now like the president of acquisition.com. But then he did like an experiment where he found out that on average, it took about 48 minutes of consumption time for somebody to buy your thing, right? 48 minutes of consumption time for somebody to actually become a customer. So again, conversion or consumption equals conversion, and I guess you can do it the other way around too. Conversion equals consumption, right? So that's what we're doing, and that's what we are doing in scale. So this is how you sell high-ticket coaching, without the sales calls, right? How to sell high-ticket coaching without sales calls and using Google Docs instead, and embracing good marketing with that, right? So I'll give you like a case study. You might be skeptical, but I'll show you a case study of this, and this happened to me too, and happens to many people and some of my clients as well. But a big case study here is Taki. Okay, Taki, he's a OG coach in the space. He's an Aussie, and he's had a coaching business for many, many years, and he travels around the world barefooted. Like that's his personality, and I love it. All right, so he heard about like this whole like Google Docs stuff, right? And the whole like Google Docs stuff, by the way, it was around for a while. Like I first discovered it through what I like to call like the underground secret society of these unique marketers who are selling their coaching services, their business with Google Docs. And then like Taki, he's in like the similar circle. So he's heard of it for a while, right? But then he finally was like, you know what? Let me try this whole Google Docs stuff out. And so he did a split test. Before the Google Docs, he had a sales team of like 9 people. Okay, he had a 9-person sales team, and each month they were doing like 9 sales a month. So like that's 1 sale per salesperson a month. Okay, and so he was like, okay, I'm gonna lock up my sales team, lock them up, have them do nothing, and we're just gonna test this out. We're gonna test out the Google Docs stuff, right? So that's what he did. And then on month 1, this is what he did. He did 12 sales on month 1, right? Just from the Google Docs. And he was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is actually more than what we did with the sales team with 9 people. Like the Google Docs beat out 9 freaking people, right? An entire 9-person sales team. A month 2, they did even better. 15 sales a month 2. And a month 3, they did even better. 20 sales a month 3. In month 4 and so on, he did 30. And then soon he was doing 45, and to the point where he was like sold out. And every single month he was sold out, I think for like a year or something now, you know what I mean? And by the way, like this stuff, yeah, it might take a little bit of time to like kind of shift, but as you see, it gets greater and greater over time, right? Once you start embracing marketing. So you got to give it a little bit of time, okay, for the marketing to like pick up, right? But then, I mean, that's Taki's story, that's Taki's case study. But I'll show you a case study of like, you know, smaller creators, smaller people with like smaller audience like me. Okay, I'll show you my example. It's like in my past marketing agency, I heard about this whole, you know, Google Docs stuff, right? And then I was closing down the marketing agency anyway. I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just try this Google Docs stuff out. And then at first, you know, I had to like tweak some things to get it to like work. But then eventually it started working, dude. Right? I just started sending people like Google Doc offers, and I had to do a little bit of like more, I had to input a little bit more conversion events like prior to this, and I'll talk about that in other videos. But then I started like, you know, closing deals, like without even meeting them, you know, over Zoom calls, which was, you know, I was so used to doing that, it felt kind of weird. I was like, hey, dude, I'm closing this guy and I don't even know what he looks like. You know what I mean? It got kind of crazy. And not only that, but then I have proved myself twice, because in my current business model, the one that I'm teaching you how to do, like the Google Docs stuff, right? Current business model, I also use Google Docs to close deals. And these are like high ticket, you know, coaching. It's my high ticket, you know, program, right? So it goes to show, yes, this stuff works. Okay, we just gotta embrace good marketing though. Okay. So the better your marketing, the less you have to sell. Okay, the better your marketing, the less you have to sell, right? Okay, number 4, like who should use sales calls then? Like shouldn't we all just, you know, have good marketing? Like who should use sales calls then, right? So I believe 2 different camps can use it. Mostly it's like one camp, okay? For total beginners, I would kind of do the whole like strategy session stuff. But the thing is, if you're a total beginner, you have 0 clients, you have 0 experience, especially online, like it's not a sales call. Like you should just provide free coaching, really. Like just provide free coaching to like, you know, 3 to 5 people until you get them great results. And that way it's not a sales call, right? So it's not a sales call. It's actually it's a coaching call, right? It's coaching. You're just coaching people. And then after that, after I get people like really great results, I would quickly shift into marketing or something with more leverage, selling in a more leveraged way. And another way is you can do webinars or like workshops, right? Because that way it's much more leverage. It's one to many than the one-on-one sales. Because like I said, like one-on-one sales offers no leverage, and also I believe it's a stepping stone skill. You should like maybe learn the, you know, basic ropes of selling, but then quickly shift to marketing, because I believe marketing is an end game skill. Right? I like to call it end game skill, because even, you know, like the big names in the world, like freaking Elon Musk, he still does marketing, right? He still goes on interviews and stuff. Or like even Alex Hormozi, right? He provides he pretty much went all in on like, you know, creating content and marketing, because he knows that is such a leveraged thing you can do. It's like an end game skill, as I like to call it. And the second kind of camp who should use sales calls, and we can actually remove this group because it's not even a sales calls, right? It's just, you just got to provide them free coaching at that point. It's like genuinely people who love it. Genuinely, if you love doing the sales calls, then you got to really ask yourself, like why are you a coach? Like you should be a closer, you know what I mean? Or like a sales manager or something, right? But if you genuinely love doing the sales calls, then I mean, go for it, dude. You know, it's your life. But I believe there's a much better and much more leveraged way of selling our high ticket, programs. For everyone else, yep, I said it. It's a stepping stone skill, right? It's a stepping stone skill. It's not an end game skill. That's what I believe. And it's kind of like training wheels, right? It's kind of like training wheels to kind of like learn the basics of like sales, I guess. But then you don't want to stay on training wheels forever, right? And this is a bike. I swear this is a bike. Like it's the ugliest bike in the world, but it's a bike. And these are training wheels, right? But you want to get rid of the training wheels, right? You can start with them, but eventually you want to get off and you want to get on the freaking bicycle. A bicycle offers more efficiency. Bicycle offers more like leverage. It's a digital bicycle. Like marketing is a digital bicycle, okay? So marketing is the end game skill. All right, number 5, and if you're curious about this one, I'm sure you are, is what actually goes on inside of a Google Doc offer, right? And again, if you want the template below, go and get that. But then inside of a Google Doc offer, okay, there's pretty much like 4 basic steps. And honestly, it is like so disappointing, like, because again, like a majority of the work is done via marketing, right? And then like what goes inside of a Google Doc, it's like, it's so basic, dude. Again, like it's just a formality at this point. So what you can put in the Google Doc is a promise, a plan, your pricing, and the next steps, and then have a little bit of like urgency and scarcity. So promise is, like your main outcome. Okay, main outcome. This can be like if you are like a fitness coach, maybe you help them like lose weight, right? That's your main outcome. Plan. So a plan you can break into 3 parts. So you can do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Okay, that'll be your plan to get them to the main outcome. And then price, you can put in what price you want to charge. And I like doing weekly payments because it's just an easier way for people to come in, and it's like a lower number, right? Lower number than like a monthly payment or like a pay in full, but that's up to you, right? You can also do a PIF, pay in full, right? And then just tell them like the next steps. Like what are the next steps they can take? Like, hey, just DM me with the word, like a special word, letting them know that you're in the program, that you're interested in the program, right? And then add some like urgency and scarcity, and then that's it. You have your Google Doc offer right there, right? And that's it. So the way I like to kind of see it is like the old way with the sales team, the sales process is in like an old boat versus like a new modern boat. So remember back in the day, they had like these huge boats with like a bunch of like boat rowers. They had like freaking like hundreds of these boat rowers, right? So like, imagine like a huge boat. And then that's kind of what I like to see a sales team as. So remember like in the movie, like Les Miserables, like in the beginning, there were boat rowers, right? And then there was like a prisoner, 24601, I think, like prisoner 24601. Like that's kind of like what I like to see salespeople as. And you might even argue that they might even be prisoners. Like their closers are like prisoners, or you might be a prisoner to your own sales process, right? But then again, like in order to have the boat move and move faster, you needed to hire more people, right? And then these boat rowers, they would have like these big oars, and so that was like the old way of doing things. So it was like hard to turn like this huge ass boat. It like takes forever to turn. You gotta like, you have to have the entire like, boat rowers all sync together in order to move this gigantic boat, right? It takes a lot of energy and of course a lot of labor, and there's no leverage. And also you lose profit, right? You lose a bunch of profit. You have like a glorified call center to manage, right? But the new way, it's kind of like this, right? The new way is like, okay, let's just attach a freaking engine, why not attach an engine to the back of this freaking boat, right? Because we have technology, and in modern times, we have engines, right? We have engines that replaces a bunch of, human beings. So we don't need the labor anymore. We can embrace leverage. Okay, we can embrace leverage. And that way, it becomes like a speedboat. It's like way better, faster, aerodynamic. It's a lot lighter, a big weight off the shoulders, right? And you get to keep a lot more of the profit, right? It's like no extra weight. It's friggin' engine power. We have a digital engine working for us. And if you want to turn the freaking boat, you just turn the boat, you know what I mean? Because it's like so much lighter, so much faster. So that's the way I like to see it, okay? So if you want the Google Doc engine, as I like to call it, and I just like to call it a freedom engine, because again, like the boat example, it's like you're attaching a piece of technology to your business now. Okay, we're using engines now, right? And if you want the Google Doc template, then please comment with the word doc offer down below. Okay, comment with the word doc offer down below, and do it right now before you forget. And I'll send you a link that houses the good free Google Doc template, and it's much more than just the Google Doc template. It's a free community, it's a free course, and a bunch of other free resources in there as well. So comment with the word doc offer to get the template. And if you have found some good value out of this video, I would appreciate a like. And if you are an established online coach that wants to learn more about this marketing stuff, so you can market your services and so you can sell your services without doing the sales calls, then you can subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this. And if you want to watch more videos on, like the feel-good marketing stuff, as I like to call it, the new way of going about your coaching business, then, you can binge some of my videos. I'll put it up here or somewhere here, okay? So that's all I got for you. Hope you found some good value out of this one. Talk to you soon.